Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attendance to the Warren Council Ordinary Council meeting on the 23rd of October 25. Warren Council acknowledges the traditional owners of the lands within the Warren Shire and acknowledges the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who reside within this shire. Town Manager, can I call for apologies or leave of absence, please?
Apologies from Councillor Kinsey.
Moved Councillor Derrick, seconder Councillor McKay. All those in favour, please. Thank you. Item 4, confirmation of minutes. Confirmation of minutes from our previous meeting held on the 25th of September. I'm looking for a movement and second to those. Councillor Wass, Councillor Surdity. Thank you, Councillor Surdity. Councillor Wass. Just move the see any comments? Blues. Everything all right? I'll formally put that the minutes be received as a true and correct of our previous meeting. Thank you. 5, can I call for any disclosures of interest? Mr. General Manager, you'll receive. There's no mayoral minute at this stage. Item 7, looking for our meetings. 7A, information for the meeting, the Warren Airport Operations Committee held on Wednesday, the 8th of October. Looking for a move from Councillor McCoskey.
Through the chair, Mr. Mayor, I wasn't there, so it was an apology, and I asked Councillor Houston to chair the meeting. Asked would she like to report to council with respect to the business at hand on the day. So,
thanks, Councillor McCoskey. There was actually Andrew. There was 2 community people there. Yes, the meeting was incredibly short. The only thing that really came up was investigating the instructions for when they fly in to get the lights to work. There was some confusion around that, but I think Gary has moved to put the correct protocol into this system, so pilots should be aware of how to click correctly to get the lights to come on. That, Gary, is that what you were summarising? Okay, that was about it.
Anyone else to comment? My only comment on that, the light control thing has been a thing that's been going for a while. It's been a local knowledge, how to work it. If that can be more advertised, that's great. No input.
Look, Mr. Mayor, just one comment. Bottom line is it's been certified. The airport's been certified. Hughes, second. Which was one of the worries of the community members of the committee, and that's gone by the wayside now. That we're able to make sure it's certified fully, and we continue the certification to the end. And some of the concerns that were brought up by community members over the last 6 months have been negated by that certification.
Councillor McCloskey.
through the chair, just a question with regard to the item in the local paper yesterday, an incident with the Roo out there recently, with the air ambulance or something, was it? Yeah. Just in light of that, do we get notified when the air ambulance is coming, or they just blow in at a will on a whim?
No advice.
No advice. Because once upon they used to ring once upon a time, and a Roo run had to be done before they'd land.
better than the no, fence. Soon we may have a fence that might be better than the 1.8 metre that we've got. Because what was designed, that was an 80% exclusion fence. Correct me please, it's 2.1 or 2.4 at the Shogun Racecourse. 2.1 is 2.1 is closer to 100%. It's not 100% because even now at 2.1, full gallop, a roo will go over it or through the bar. Doesn't happen too often. So I unless you're doing a 3 metre fence to make it 100%, it's probably a 90%. What if we are able to fund what's happened grant wise, it'll make it closer to a 90% instead of 80%.
I noticed in the action checklist of the business paper, the gates have been put into the bottom of 0927 and 0321.
Yes, push them out. Help push them out. Yes.
The one comment that was what was in the paper was the journo ringing me up. The incident with the pig or the animal was over 14 months ago. It was a little bit of an while Gary was sick, it was a little bit of an operational problem with something left open.
And I asked the same question, Mr. Mayor, through one of the committee members, and he did a bit of a check for me. There's one that's been seen lately. He might be gone, but not 100% because it's just big enough that guys who are doing the checks miss them. All he needs to do is wants to hide people. But we're hoping that he's gone.
So the issue, again, alluding to in the business paper, the drainage issue down the bottom end going into each elaborate, the gate and the flap and the pipe and that bit of fence is all.
That's been fixed.
And look, in a different practical way, that's why we've done a 600 millimetre flap at the bottom, skirt at the bottom at the Shogun Racecourse, because that, and we've also pinned in between the poles with a special pin system with the exclusion fencing the Shogun Racecourse. Airport's only 300 mil and not pinned. And so that just increases the risk.
Again, through the chair, just in light of that, you said that one at the airport, the skirt's not pinned. I thought they were going to pin it in certain areas where it was evidence that kangaroos were getting in.
There has been some pinning in that corner. Yeah. So it is
Not for the whole 3.3 kilometres.
no.
Or 6.
Any other discussion on that? Otherwise, I'm going to put that forward. All those in favour? Report. 7B, meeting of the Foreign Public Arts Committee on the 13th of October 25. Councillor Jackson, Councillor Derrick, Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would only just comment on the main item, which is the Public Arts Master Plan, and the reason that the committee wanted it resubmitted with the changes, showing if all of those changes, because there was nobody present at the committee meeting for the changes. So it happened that the only people who knew weren't there. If they had been there, we probably could have got through it, but that's why. So it's, I don't know.
Councillor Houston.
Yeah, and there was nothing marked on the paper to show that, in red or whatever, where the changes were.
So practically impossible. Other comments? Anyone else? If not, I'll move that that's been received and noted. Oh, I'm sorry, Paul. I put the motion. Sorry, guys, I'm a bit late last night. I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Thank you. Item 7C, meeting of the last committee on Tuesday, the 14th of October. Remover and a seconder. Councillor McCloskey, Councillor Wass. Councillor McCloskey.
Yeah, through the chair, yeah. Given that the chair of the meeting was not here, I'd say the main focus of the meeting was the issue of the gate from the Inglewood Road with respect to the Murrays, the Stewarts and the Weeks out there. So what has come from the meeting with the recommendation to council is that as opposed to the gate being removed and potentially a fence being put up, the word fence has been removed from the recommendation and rear put in with respect of the rear potentially replacing the gate if this is in agreement with the parties of concern. So what has happened is that there is going to be another meeting of the Roads Committee with a request that the Stewarts and the Murrays attend with respect to the potential recommendation to go to the December meeting of council for decision. The initial recommendation in the Roads Committee had that a fence be put in at the expense of the Weikses and the Stewarts, and then the gate to be removed if that was to happen. But then that potentially put a financial impost on the Murrays to get water to their northern paddock for their cattle, given if the fence was to be constructed. So the committee has taken a different line or a different path in respect to this situation. And in moving forward, yeah, another Roads Committee meeting will happen. People will be requested to attend to voice their opinions, concerns or otherwise, and then a further recommendation then to the December council meeting.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other comments? Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. It says Mrs. Joe Stewart, Mrs. Jamie Wykes and Company. Who is and Company?
And company,
Their husbands.
Oh, it'd be, McCalry,
Brogan McElroy.
the McCalry.
He owns the land or some land on the other side of the Inglewood Road or the end of the Inglewood Road.
So it's not just the three people, it's him as well.
Could be him as well.
Councillor Watt.
It's a clarification. I think that could be an associated parties. But I think that's what that word company actually means in this context.
Associated Councillor.
So that would associated parties excluding the Murrays? Or are the Murrays part of the associated parties?
The Murrays would be associated parties because they are concerned in this situation, and the resolution of council ultimately could affect them in one way, shape or form.
Mr. Mayor, you can easily change your recommendation. Who's supposed to be paying for the green? Mrs. Joe Stewart, Mrs. James Wilkins.
Company. So as opposed to the fence, a grid in place at the gate at the expense of the Stewarts and Weikses and Company.
It's fair enough.
Yeah. Right. So
Sorry, Mr. Mayor. Gravel sheeting, gravel and loam sheeting program as well. Three.
Oh, yeah, sorry. And yes, the other item, and I asked that the word loam be put into the title as opposed to gravel, so it doesn't imply that all roads in future could potentially be gravelled as opposed to having loam on them, given loam is available.
Very good
Any
clarification, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, so the three roads in question, the Old Warren Road, which is the back road at Ingham, Bradbury Lane and Colane Road. Road 98.
any other comments, guys? If not, I'll put that as noted. All those in favour? Thank you. At a meeting on the 16th of October from Mannix meeting, a mover and a second, and then I'll ask the GM to comment first. Councillor Surdity, Councillor Houston, Councillor Surdity. Gentlemen, you go through that,
Thank
please.
you. November newsletter will be, fairly busy too, there's November newsletter, then there's a December and a second December newsletter, but we'll be fairly busy. We've got a little bit of a, just making sure we're at the pointy end of expenditure of funds. For all our projects, whether it's Regional Road 333, we'll call it Safer Road Zero, same on 202, same finishing the bridges, and flood damage. We have to be very, very careful because money is now starting to get tight, because whatever happens, we spend the money and then we have to somehow quickly get our applications in to be paid, and it takes these people so long, it's not funny. So we're trying to watch that very carefully. And that's the real worry leading up to Christmas. Because there's lots of work happening that's starting to cost us lots of money. Like, for example, on page 5, we're almost to the stage of having spent that 50% that we've received for our flood damage. So anything after that, we need to finish a road and put a monthly bill in and get it as quickly as possible. A good example on page 7, we have waited for over 2 years to get that $38,983.86 paid, and we still haven't got it. And it's not for lack of trying. It's just unbelievable. We're just about to go and spend the $220,500, and I don't want the same wait. But I'm just giving the warning. This is what these government departments do to us. Milestones for the levy, for example, finishing everything out on 7515 Warren had to wait until Canambleshire finishes their work because they're the lead. We finished our work, as an example.
But through the chair, just in light of that, if we finish 6 months in advance of them doing theirs, we're holding the candle for 6 months.
I think it was only a small amount, but it was still an amount. Mr. Mayor, I have seen I've had an example, Singleton Shire Council and Cessnock City Council. Singleton Council had finished their 10 million worth of work. They were the lead council, and because they hadn't finished, we didn't get paid any of that 10 million. We had to beg, and eventually the Commonwealth realised that wasn't out as the non-lead, as an example. Look, everyone needs to know that we're watching, and we are a little bit worried about the money, because we're putting money we're trying to get interest on our money as well, whatever we've got.
Three times in the last 12 months, I've met Minister, was Regional Roads, now Roads, Jenny Atchison. She sees me coming, but every time I've met her, I express that when we do work, we need to get paid.
It can't be you can't be a bank for the state government or the federal or wherever else your money's coming from.
But at the political level, councillor, our state government is absolutely bankrupt, broke. And they're taking, they're administering a lot of federal funds and handing them through. They're trying to keep them for a little while.
On page 6, just there's a small error in the minutes. See, it says Shrine 60 Dandaloo Road, and on the right-hand side of the comments, it says project to be confirmed. That's just accidentally on the wrong line. It's the Tottenham Road one, Richmond Refill. It's actually doesn't exist. It's spread over the rest of the projects. But here is another good one. R2R, you're going to do that work late November, early December. That's say $850,000. It comes really, really quick. And Port and Hogan, they're going to be very, very quick at sending the bill in and wanting paid. We won't be able to put in an application to get paid until early January. It'll take some time for the Commonwealth to pay. 150,000.
Councillor.
Through the chair again, just in light of that, given if you get in a situation like that where things are getting tight, you say there's potentially $850,000 can be with Fulton Hogan, say for instance, can you defer the work till next year's type of thing? So you don't have that impost of 850,000 or whatever the case may be, then have the Christmas period, then the new year, and then maybe a month or two, whatever, then before you get paid. So could you defer the work to a
It's
later?
the same thing. Do it in January and we won't get paid to March because they wait for a quarter. It's the quarter. See, when December quarter finished, we put the so we finished it. We put the otherwise we have to wait for the whole 3 months and put the March quarter bill in. Look, we're slowly working on filling some positions. Some positive things coming along very, very soon, we hope. That's about it, Mr. Chairman. That's the queries.
Councillor Gay.
To General Manager, with the invoices that you're putting into the government to get paid, if there's a delay on them, I assume you'd be able to look at some factoring or invoice factoring arrangement. So by that, I mean you can finance the invoices if you need to.
We don't really want to use a bank overdraft. We don't want to break investments for loss. We want to be able to stay within the 2 and a bit we try to keep. I mean, we're getting a reasonable percentage on that 2 and a bit that we keep, but it's not as good as
What I'm saying is if it gets to the pointy end and you run out of money and you've got $5 million worth of bills sitting there, you can get finance on those invoices, particularly if they're to a government department.
No, because you actually have to get permission from the Office of Local Government to do a loan. We'd actually just have to break an investment. Yeah.
Councillor.
Break an investment.
There'll be a month, 31-day notice period. So we won't see any funds from term deposit for a month, even if we do recall.
Councillor Ross.
I had a perception that the state government had either stated or a statutory obligation to be a payer of the first order, as I believe there's an obligation also in Shire councils to be a payer of the first order. In other words, to pay their bills on time. Is that a statutory obligation, or is it a stated obligation, or is it non-existent?
They pay bills subject to milestones and their grant milestone checks.
But not otherwise. Okay.
It is imperative that our organisation get the bills out on time. As soon as it can. It's no manage the cash flow. It's just like any other business. I think it's something that we can bring up politically that, you know, we're not, as Councillor McCloskey said, we're not the bank for the state government. Any other comments out of that, please? So I'm going to put that received and noted. All those in favour? Thank you. We're now moving on to reports of delegates. The ordinary reading of the Castlereagh County Council minutes are there. I'll move that formally and second it. Councillor Derrett and Councillor Kinsey's unavailable today. Wasn't minutes there in front of you that was major items, contentious items anyway. We're in our operator that operates out of our shire retired recently. There is a meeting on Monday. The next meeting is on Monday, which Councillor Kinsey, myself, will attend. The application's closed, so I presume we'll have some light on that. The way the funding goes, this will also be discussed tomorrow on Monday. Sorry, the way the funding goes is the rate rise or our contribute. It'll go up a little bit. They average the rate rise component across all the contributing councils. It's still value for money. The other thing that I'll preempt is because of my workload in the next council meeting, I'll be retiring from that role. And to that, I'm happy that with your indulgence, Councillor Houston will come with us on Monday to be introduced, and we'll be putting a report to you next council meeting to formally do that. I've just got to prioritise my time a bit, and I think Councillor Houston would have the expertise to go with Councillor Kinsey in the long term. That the report will be to the next council. Asking for comments. Other than that, I'll put that proceed to note. All those in favour? Thank you, council. Report to the delegates. Item 2 is the Northwest Library Cooperative Annual General Meeting held on Wednesday, the 10th of September. Looking for a mover, Councillor Surdity. Second, Councillor Houston. Thank you, Councillor Surdity.
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. The item that Councillor Houston did bring up about the Warren Council supporting a bit more than the other councils, that was one of my items too, and I am very happy to be aware of the fact that there is things in the background could give us costings as to how we can address all of that. From that, pretty much everything else I think is in that report. Just one comment, if I could. It's a wee bit disappointing in that we've got 4 councils that are part of that group, and if you look at the amount of attendees, 5 of them were us. And then you've got just the Canamble, which wasn't a councillor. Bogan didn't have a councillor, and Gill didn't have a councillor. Now I know there's extenuating circumstances in that respect, and that one of them was crook and the other 2 were tied up with other things. We need to try and make the other councils aware of the fact that they really need to put in somebody who's interested in this. Otherwise, it just looks like we're all top heavy, which is a bit of a disappointment, I think. So it's a very, very worthwhile council because a lot of information that comes out of it, committee, I should say. Yeah, it's just, I don't know how we can keep advocating to try and get a few of the other shires to be in attendance those meetings. I mean, we don't go for the whole day or anything. You're looking at possibly 2 hours for a meeting and maybe travelling. And we do share, pardon me, we do share it between the other shires as well. So it's not all just one shire.
Thank you, councillor. Yeah, that point taken. And possibly something that I could bring up at the Alliance. There's, your group is a bit like the Alliance. You only get out of it what put into it. And obviously there's some organisations that put in.
An observation. The only thing was as the fact that it was our AGM, our committee are back in as the same committee as last time, which is myself, councillor Jackson from Ningan, and Brad and Erica, and we're still staying with the thing. There's no fee to the chairperson.
Thank you, councillor. I'll formally that all in favour. Thank you. Item 3, the Central West Zone Library. Councillor Zerdity again. Councillor Derek. Councillor Zerdity.
Yeah, same thing. It's always a good group to go to because it takes up half of the state. If you look at the distance that we cover, there's a hell of a lot of councils that are in that. Same thing. We still have issues with the same old reliable councillors turning up, but not an awful lot from the others that come in to the meeting either, which is a shame, but we do carry out a lot. We get the state representatives from the libraries and everything there, so it's well worth turning up. And again, it's spread over various areas. So I think our next one, if my memory serves me correctly, I think it's at Lithgow. And then the following one after that, I think might be out of Field. We only have 2 years, so I mean, they're not owners. So thank you.
Councillor. I'll formally put that, all those in favour, received and noted. Thank you. Item 4, meeting of the Warren Interagency Support Services Group held on Monday, the 13th of October. Councillor Derrick, second, Councillor Zerdity. Councillor Derrick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We've had some good attendance at our interagency meetings recently, which is really good to see. We have, however, had some technical difficulties with the Teams set up in this room, whereby we've actually had to mute this room when speakers on the screen are wanting to say something because there seems to be a lot of feedback coming through these speakers. So that has been passed on to council staff to look at how we can do that because to mute it, we have to go to the front of the room. It's it was quite tedious to actually run the meeting, but we got there. And as you can see from the minutes, there was a lot of information shared. We had a great presentation from Jacqueline Jones from the New South Wales Reconstruction Authority. So we're going to continue trying to set up a guest speaker for a bit of a longer presentation at each of our meetings. And that seems to be well received. The next meeting is scheduled for Monday, 24th of November, pending the availability of my fellow councillors, because we will be at the local government conference on that day. So it is possible that we might need to move that, but we'll definitely have a meeting as close to possible as that day.
Thank you, councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any other comments? Councillor.
Through you, Mayor. The Warren Open Garden Day, did you have a report on that? By all accounts, it was a fabulous success. Were there any problems that we should be?
Yes, I guess the point of, through you, Mr. Mayor, the point of mentioning it here was just to make sure the community was aware. I did attend most of the weekend, as a lot of you did. I'm not aware that there was any significant issues. I'm not on the organising committee, but as a parent of St Mary's, I have had a fair bit to do with the before and after. And I think generally speaking, the feedback was that it was a very well run, smoothly operating, fantastic weekend with I think around 1,200 people, 1,200 ticket holders. And certainly as a visitor to the gardens, it seemed like everything moved quite well and didn't seem to be any bottlenecks or major issues of the day. And the school, and I'm not sure if it's formally been done yet, but the school has mentioned the help from council and how how that really assisted, especially over at Victoria, with getting vehicles in and out on the Friday and the Saturday for tickets and lunch and workshops. So, yeah, thank you.
Any other comments, questions? I'll formally put that then, that's received and noted. All those in favour? Go on to reports of council 9. This is our policy for a mover and a second to get discussions underway. The general manager's report, Warranshire Council Code of Meeting Practice change. Councillor Surdity, Councillor Cleasby, thank you, Councillor Surdity. General Manager, would you like to comment?
No. In reason. We try to keep as much as possible of our code of meeting practice, the existing code of meeting practice that's there is as per our old code of meeting practice for the last few, there's actually no public forum. No public forum, very important, meaning we don't, the only presentations that we have are the ones that we invite. For example, the burn of salt presentation or some economic development matter or something that we someone special we invite. Not a public forum that people want to talk to matters on the agenda. And for the last two councils, we've never had public forums, and we've kept it that way. There is a little bit of watering down in the requirements of what the mayor, for example, it's up to the mayor to determine whether follow the practice or not follow the practice of people having to rise when the mayor walks into the room. I mean, you want to comment? You don't want to comment on that. The typical practice that we've done, we're a little bit more informal, but even if we followed serious formality, we actually have not gone where possible as far as what the code. You see, there's parts of the code that are compulsory and parts of the code that aren't, and so we've followed where it's aren't. We've followed where we have always followed in our current code of meeting practices. The important thing is what we've explained is that there's no such thing as a pre-meeting briefing session anymore. And so remember, as soon as that agenda goes out, we can't have a pre-meeting briefing. As soon as it's on the agenda publicly, it's what is on the agenda, and the discussions have to be held in the council meeting. We're also responsible to live stream at the same time. It will be recorded still and put on our website, but it's live streaming. Finance administration believe within reason, it won't be an expensive change. You want to comment on that? With what you're proposing?
Sure. So currently going through investigations about what might be the best, easiest, suitable solution and reasonably cost effective on that basis. So there's a lot of different platforms out there. It might be very easy and low cost for council just to pay for a streaming service and make use of YouTube. That does mean a bit more manual handling and processing and sort of messing around, and it's not, from the end user perspective. Let's say you jump on council's website and you want to watch the live stream of council meeting, it probably doesn't present the best, and the quality of the image and sound and whatnot can be an issue, as well as when we pause, people just see a blank screen and it's just doesn't sort of look the best. There is another solution, and we're trying to get a firm idea of costs involved, and that will more or less be a set and forget option. So it'll run straight from the current Teams setup that we have. It's just a little add-on kind of device, and then it sets it all up, and that may allow us to structure the live streaming to follow the agenda, and it does everything all at once. So it'll keep the recorded view of the meeting there for people to be able to click to certain points within the meeting that they're interested in, for example. But once we have a firm idea of costs and what might be the best option, we can come back and that discussion.
Mayor, the council law attendance of meetings by audio visual link is very similar to the current meaning if there's a health issue and you're still able to attend, you have to get the mayor's permission to attend by Teams at home. So, for example, you're COVID, but you're right. If you're flooded in, the same thing. But pretty well, if you're on holidays, you're on holidays. Stay on holidays. I think that's pretty your attitude.
Yeah.
So very similar. It's almost as if they use some of our to help right there that section of the code, which I'm pretty pleased about. Don't forget the same thing with voting on planning decisions. There's an automatic. You actually names both sides of any decision. You will have noticed on our business paper at the front of the agenda, I listed the reasons why matters that have been put in the committee of the whole closed council. It's not just on the committee of the whole closed council business paper, it's actually at the front. I took some advice even before this code of meeting practice. If you have a look on the third page of your agenda, in confidential matters, you're actually it's listed there as well as in the committee of the whole closed council business paper. I think there's been a little bit of clarification of this order. Fortunately, we don't have that type of problem. And it just gives, and similarly, disorder by someone in public, just some clarification for whoever's chairing. Just remember that we don't have any committees that comprise only of all the councillors. So our committees use a cherry-picked relevance of our code meeting practice to function. If our committees were full, the full council, meant 12 councillors were on a committee, that would have to be live streamed as well. If the full same rules would apply, but our normal committees don't.
That's one question. Just a point of clarification. If I can, when you're talking about councillors dialing into the team system to be able to attend and enable with their group or if they're that lovely. Does that also include, for instance, when I had to go last year to the conference of
committees, you get my permission.
So that's still
Council, you get the mayor's permission.
So why, if I have to get your permission and I'm actually doing a job of being on that committee. Is there a main reason as to why it doesn't let me, if I've got breaks in where I'm away? I'm not on holidays, I'm representing council on another committee meeting. Is there a reason why I can't dial in while I'm actually away?
Because most of the committees aren't set up to be able to dial in. I'd have to be able to know to dial in, have you dial.
So if
Plus,
that's notified.
plus,
That's
lot of the time, there's been a reasonable attitude, previous mayor. I don't know about previous mayor that if you're away on council business, thank you very much. Into your business as well, but
we just put an apology in for the committee that we could dial in.
and we would hope that we would remember you're away on business.
That's okay.
Similar, on page 6 of that report, the same general order of business continues. And so we've made sure that our acknowledgement of country and what we actually say is actually contained within the code of meeting practice. And what we do at that first council meeting of each new term, if we are able to get an invited Aboriginal elder, welcome to country. There's just clarification that Merrill minutes in a very similar way to notices a motion can't actually really be progressed if full financial analysis and legal analysis is undertaken.
It's a complicated document. It took Deputy Mayor, myself, General Manager and Executive Assistant most of the day to go through. I commend you to read it and get back to us while it's on this. It's been we looked at. So, Councillor Brewer.
Couple of questions, if you don't mind. On page 4, representations by the public on the closure of meetings. Can you explain to me what that
always has been? So where a matter is being directed to the committee of the whole closed council, the members of the public can actually make a formal submission to actually say that it shouldn't be in the committee of the whole closed council. Right. And that's one of the reasons why I've made sure now that it's actually on our agenda. So a member of the public can actually make a formal submission. It's the only time that's kind of a public forum where they would ask the chair and give, I would like to make a submission on that not being in the committee of the whole closed council. Doesn't happen too often. It's never happened here, I believe.
Not as far as I know.
Right.
It has happened in Dubbo.
Yeah, it's always been. It's just slightly more clarified, and
So-
I'm making sure that there's the agenda shows even now, which should be yeah.
If that came, I would have to entertain a motion that it wasn't, and you guys would vote on it.
and that where
What
would that look like?
I can't imagine a scenario. Sorry, councillor. I can't imagine the scenario, but it's something that has been there and it was still on the guidelines for the new.
Where it would happen is just before we resolve to go into committee of the whole closed council to exclude the press and public and exclude and that's when someone could make
on the spot
there. It's so now, even though we haven't got a public forum, that's the only time that someone can actually pick up and say, Mr. Chair, Mr. Mayor, they can actually make that submission then. In my time, it's never happened at any of my councils I've been at, but as you say, it's happened in Darwin.
And just one more question about the committees again. This is, and I like the passage that you've put in here at Warren Council committee whose memberships include persons other than councillors, like all our committees do. It says we follow the code of meeting practice unless the council determines otherwise. At what point does that determination happen? Should we write that in here, or do we do something to say, to allow us to continue the way we're going?
That with minimal English there is saying exactly what you're saying. It's we're continuing the process. That's just practice.
Without saying it directly. Okay, righto.
So the document's there, guys, and it read through it, but I'll close this now and I'll after a voting of for and against, we received and noted. All those in favour?
I think it's right.
Right.
You moved it. It's been moved.
It moved, yes.
Yeah.
With your indulgence, guys, because Councillor Mackay's got to leave us at 10, we might break now for morning tea. So he's able to have a cup of tea before he has to leave us. So that's all right. We might break this meeting now.
Yeah.
We'll continue our meeting. We're out to reports from the General Manager, item 9, reports from the General Manager, outstanding reports checklist. Looking for a mover and a second to get this discussion underway. Councillor Surdity, Councillor Houston, Councillor Surdity. General Manager, you could lead us through that, please.
As we put in our expressions of interest on page 7 for the Queensland Cotton Sales. That's why a little bit on page 8, we're successful with further reporting on the funding, final funding. Just noted in relation to the matter on contract insurance certifications, etc. Staff have taken that on board. Page 9, page 10, policies. Same 11, done and dusted, now renewed on our website. Floodgates, I believe top of page 12 have been tested. I think there's one that's just getting some more work done on it. We've got a reasonable amount of the cameras functioning at the bottom of page 13, but not all of them. We're still working on finalising that project. Page 16 and 17 is the tie up of relevant matters related to certification. Import, now that we're certified. Roads Committee, Stockbridge Public Gates Policy finalised and reported to the Roads Committee. It's progressing with other resolutions. Bottom of page 18 expresses policy in the same way as normal policies done and dusted. And there's been further reporting on the bottom of page 20 in relation to the planning proposal, our renewed or tidied up LEP.
Councillors, comments, questions, anything? Councillor Cleesby?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm just wondering the Polo Cross, should that still be in the reports? Should that be sort of removed if there's been no notification, no discussion? I don't think there is a committee anymore. I'm just wondering why.
Mr. Mayor, we'll follow that up on that, see what happens for the December council meeting.
Anyone else? Any? If not, I'll put that, Stephen noted, all those in favour? Thank you. Item 2, recognition of Warren being a healthy town and keeping awareness of healthy lifestyle. Council will stand while dealing with items 2 of the general manager report. I'm looking for a mover and a second for the item 2 committee and delegates meetings. Councillor Sturdy, Councillor Cleasby, Councillor Sturdy.
Just to add one through you, Mr. Mayor, through the Leading Future Leaders. We've the Switch Library Conference happening on the 11th through to the 13th of November. In
Just got it.
yeah, please to the in Penrith.
Anyone else got any input? If not, I'll put that as received and noted. All those in favour? Thank you, ladies. Council. Item 3, work progress infrastructure project. I'm looking for a mover and a second to get discussions underway for this, please. Councillor Wass, Councillor Cleasby, Councillor Wass.
Move for discussion.
General Manager, you ought to go through that, please.
Just major ones, the one on page 23 is the levy progressing. I mean, the first part of the grants we made sure were fully expended is the OLG one at the bottom of page 23. Because it's expenditure / committed, you're right. That's why there's really expenditure / committed, most of it. We get to pay the contractor fully. Not all of it's finished. In the near future, we'll start to get some more grants for some projects to make sure the Infrastructure Project Management Office is fully engaged.
I think that that comment, last comment is very apt. As far as yesterday, you get inquiries from state government bureaucrats about what you have got ready to go. Any input from you guys that where we should be shovel ready or plan ready in some regards, we can jump through some ways, but input from councillors and staff is very important. Any other comments? I'll formally put that all over in favour. Thank you. Thank you. Item 4, it's the Warren Shire Community Christmas Party 2025. Looking for a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Cleasby's looking at me. Councillor Wass is also looking at me. Thank you, Councillor Cleasby.
Just received the note.
That's what you're moving up there.
That's up there.
That's what you're moving, councillor.
So we're moving as allocate 30,000 funding it. Everybody's aware that our government funding fell over or doesn't exist anymore.
Yep.
The discussion with senior staff and in Hogs and myself and Sarah that we think this is a community thing that we struggled to go. We've been actively asking for community donations. We've got some. It's costing us up to 30K. Councillor McCloskey.
Through the chair, just in light of the community donations and the estimated cost for the fireworks, are we anywhere near that amount with regards to?
2/3 so far. 2/3.
2/3 of that.
Yeah.
With one really big one still coming, we hope, and a couple of little ones. Get to a 20, we hope.
Don't know. It's we're active, we're actively still asking. We've had some acceptances and we've had some refusals. We're still out there. I personally think it's a community event that we should continue with. If anyone's got any, certainly, any got other ideas on that, I'm open to crop. But at this stage for this year, we are going. If not, David, Councillor Cleasby, sorry.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, what would the percentage of business houses putting their hand up? That'd be, what percentage will be? 50%? 80%?
So you're talking about so far, we've had 12,000 yeses, $12,000 with the yeses. Come on. Warren Chamber of Commerce, $2,500, very helpful. Some large earth moving firms, $2,200 inclusive of GST. Rotary Club, their standard donation to us $1,000. Services Club, $500.
We have councillor and everybody. Personally, I'm very confident that in the last 6 or 8 months, our local businesses have been asked for a lot of donations, and it just keeps on going. You know, we didn't when Tour de Oroc was here 2 weeks ago. We left our businesses line. We had the Little Wings project where, you know, raised 50K. Those that have been in businesses in town would realise that they get asked every week for money. So that's why I'm comfortable with us kicking the tin for 30K. Yeah. Councillor Houston.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, do the people donating money get acknowledged somewhere?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Different levels, different levels of donation sponsorship. Yeah. Yeah. With platinum, gold, silver, bronze.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, some of you might have heard a media interview I did a few weeks ago, and you know, it is, you know, the Bourke community raised 100K from an auction for homestay. Walgett had to raise money for an X-ray machine, a ultrasound machine. This doesn't happen. My comment on my media interview was that this doesn't happen in the northern beaches of Sydney. You know, why should the community try to raise money for bringing a children's doctor to the, you know, it comes back to what our demographer Bernard Salt said, you know, we've got a battle for everything. And Gary, General Manager and I had some discussions over, you know, trying to find the money exit than the normal people that ask for donations every week. So we are moving that motion. Councillor Cleasby, you're happy with that? So Councillor McCloskey?
No, I just second it.
All right. So all those in favour? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We're moving on now to reports from General Divisional Manager, Finance Administration. Item 1, the reconciliation certificate. September. Looking for a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Sturdy. Councillor Derrick. Councillor Sturdy.
Recommendation, thank you.
Manager, you got any comments? Questions, anyone? If that's the case, I will formally put that, all those in favour. Thank you. Item 2 is the statement of rates, annual charges, page 4 on your document. Looking for a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Jackson, Councillor Houston. Thank you, Councillor Jackson.
Yes, I just move the recommendation that the statement be received and noted, and if Divisional Manager of Finance has a comment to make.
Questions, comments?
I think overall it's just consistent with prior years in the collection figure, given the date of when I've run the report. You can see, say, down the bottom of that table, 14th of October 2021 was 37%. This time around it's 36, been sort of around that sort of percentage collection rate.
Any other questions or comments? I'll put that. All those in favour? Thank you. Item 3 is the work progress reports, finance administration projects. Looking for a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Jackson, Councillor Cleesby, Councillor Jackson.
The information be received and not.
Electric councillor. Comments, questions, divisional manager or no questions? I'll formally put that, all those in favour. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Item 4, it's on page 7 of your document, library and operational performance report. Councillor Surdity, second, please. Councillor Houston, Councillor Surdity.
You actually pretty much got it all in one. There's, as I said before, there's a heap of stuff that happens down at the library, and they try to advertise as much as they can to get everybody to various events that happen. So it's yeah, well known for operating service. So much recommendations and gifts.
Thank you, Councillor Surdity. In reminding anyone that's available, Peter Watt is lunching there today. So, if not, I'll formally put that motion. All those in favour? Thank you. We now item 5, internally restricted funds as of the 30th of June, page 20 on your document. Internally restricted funds as of 30th of June. Mover and seconds to get that discussion underway. Councillor Wass. Councillor Derrett. Councillor Wass.
Move for discussion.
Questions, comments from staff or General Manager?
The visual manager may comment further, but it's just really tidying up some of the things that a good example on page 21. The Conservation Council hasn't sent us a bill yet for 2025. They will eventually, and we need to make sure. Another good one is just making sure that some unspent funds for a building capital works can get done. Our internal audit costs, our internal audits, we're hopefully going to try to do a few more this year and making sure that there's funds there. Just making sure that and there'll be, I think you're providing a report to the December meeting just to tidy this up again. We'll say it's as of the 1st of July to tidy up a little bit further. This is the 30th of June, but there may be others and a general tidy up.
Councillor McCloskey, sorry.
Through the chair, just Page 22, Urban Street Heavy Pattern, 192,000. It's been carried forward since 1819. Is it anywhere on the radar to be expended?
Yeah.
2019, I hope, councillor.
No, long time.
18, not 18, 19, 2018, 19.
Mayor, it may be required as contribution if we are successful with a very large Commonwealth grant that we're actually trying to apply for the whole lot. We'll keep Tarpatching Cobb Lane, as it sinks, but that was the idea in the end, a very large CBD streetscape project. With that added, get everything fixed up.
Advocate, that doesn't come to fruition.
If you can remember, there's certain EOIs that might need some money.
It's our turn for a major one, councillor McCoskey. Cobar got 13 million and what did Gilgandra get last week?
Very similar, man. Very similar to what we're asking.
Yeah, it's about the same as what we're asking. So, if you next find, member Chappie, just suggest that it's our turn.
We have money ready to be contributed.
Yeah. Any other comments?
And look, Mr. Mayor, so, one, divisional manager may clarify, but, if you have a look in the middle of page 22, there's been a little bit of an addition to infrastructure improvement and replacement. What's saying is that it's a reasonable result for 24-25 in the same track and bit of money back. Very important. Those engineers spending too much money.
Fine, I'll call that now. All those in favour? Thank you. Item 6 is, your report, is in front of you. This, I'll ask, for move and second to get it underway, but, then I'll invite, Director to explain where we're going with this. So could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Surdity, Councillor McCloskey. Councillor Surdity. Director, I think it's appropriate if you or General Manager lead us into context of this, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. When council in the industry generally was aware that the Office of Local Government has brought in a mandatory requirement change in how council is now required to report their quarterly budget review statements. Given that council doesn't meet in November, it's meant that I've had to go and sort of put it in place for this current meeting to comply with the OLG condition of having it before council prior then needing to submit it by the end of November. On that basis, it was a bit of a slog to get it done, hence the late report. And I apologise, what was circulated by email actually has some discrepancies in the dates. So we can update those. However, the figures and the detail contained within the report are accurate. So from there, what I'd probably focus on is the detail, the summary of adjustments on page 2 of the report. So that at this point are the budget review adjustments that I'm recommending council approve. So I can step through those individually or leave it to council if you want to ask questions about. I suppose in understanding the impact of it is the bigger part of the explanation. A lot of these changes are related to carried forward works, so monies that was allocated and unspent in 24-25 and growth fund programs. So the real impact of those is that they're funded. It's external funds. Now that's revenue recognised in the year it happened, or movement from an externally restricted form of cash, accounting terms. That actually has no real impact on council's financial position or cash available to you. Do we want to go through those individually, or?
I don't think so. This is a new way of doing things, and it is possibly somewhere where we need to go at a workshop just to understand and follow the procedures. Voluntarily, of course, but it is important for us as councillors to be financially literate in the systems of local government. And while I don't think we need to go line by line at the moment, this is my personal opinion, line by line, we need to understand the processes. And I've been assured that financially we're fine. Yeah, that's fine, but we need to understand it. So I'm thinking that with directors' help and general managers' help, that we might just have a time where we can go through this line by line after you've digested this. If you understand where I'm coming from, you got any comments to that, gentlemen?
That's what we're hoping to do.
If I may, the change basically means, from the OLG's perspective, the council operates and we deal with the budget, has done in the past year on a cash basis. So you'll see the whole balanced budget scenario where you've got your operating and capital income and expenditure and less depreciation. The bottom line is always zero, which is where you want to be. With the change here, it's actually separated all of that. So you can't actually clearly see the kind of balanced view. So you end up with an operational result, excludes capital expenditure, which is both a consolidated view, just trying to briefly summarise what you're looking at. The first item on the page numbers are a bit dodgy, sorry about that. The first item is the consolidated fund view, which is general wastewater sewer, a whole lot. We then required to separate general fund from the others. Second page, which is water and sewer. Then we've got, of course, the water fund and the sewer fund individually as well. So from there, we end up with change. Now you can see on page 8, it's the capital budget review statement. So this is important to understand when we're looking at capital spend. We want to know overall what you should see here is that there's zeros down the bottom, that you're not saving money and you're not being overdrawn, that everything is covered. So we give a breakup of what we're spending of capital grants and contributions, which balances back to the amount listed in the consolidated income and expenditure statement. It is an estimate as far as external restrictions go. So that is all of the resulting unspent grant funds at the year end. And of course, council's allocated internally restricted reserves and what would be titled to spend, they take or add to those. We don't get a lot of room to move in terms of saying it's, this job, that job relates to an area of business of council. They've consolidated it and suggested that we should be just said that we need to put new assets or renewal assets. Now that is a bit of an interpretive scene. So as best as I was able, I've split it on that basis. But overall, the capital spend of council is the capital spend of council. through the guidelines, they got fairly nitty gritty with what is considered by council as work in progress and how we can budget and allocate things on that basis. But by the sounds of it, I don't think any other councils are successfully able to suggest, where they're going to end up as what's finished or not at the end of the year. Again, we can go through this into the future. I'm just trying to explain roughly what their intention is and the brief detail in there. So ultimately, that's the capital view, separate to the operating. Should always come to zero to say everything's funded. The interesting one for me was the final page, the cash and investments budget review statement. Fortunately, council will see this more or less every month in the cash and investments report. There is a bit of a change in it because it considers, the external and internal restrictions in a bit more detail, so as to try and estimate a year-end result and demonstrate that flow of cash in or out of the place. So for Warren Council, a lot of it is tied to externally funded restrictions, where we're getting a heap of capital grants typically. So it's not necessarily running on cash councils to go and spend discretionary wherever they like, other than the internal restricted assets. If you see and reports from the council regularly on that changes to use the funds or not, so you have full sight and control over that. So at this point, the actual year-to-date column at the end, as best as I'm able, I will be presenting that, balancing back to that investment report. So everything sort of ties in. That's ultimately the flow of it. So interesting choice rather than a standard cash flow statement, I guess, is the point I'll make there. It's trying to make it more sense of it in a local government context rather than the standard cash flow. So I think I can circulate a background paper. It's from the OLG, their guidelines. There's a bit of a FAQ scenario in there. I can circulate a bit more detail with council, which might explain the changes in this now mandatory budget review statement, and we can workshop it into the future.
Councillor McCoskey.
Through the chair, just one question. Page 8, how do you get a -0?
-0.
Yeah.
So the figures that go in there are populating to a different decimal value. So that is simply just a reflection of the Excel calculation. So with a bit more fine tuning, I can tidy that up. It'll bore you to tears, but I mapped all of this to a trial balance, and these are my own templates. I lifted and adapted theirs, and so it just flows. So I don't have to go, nothing can be missed or lost, and I only have to do it once. So it'll make it very easy for people moving forward. So yes, those sort of things I can tidy up.
Councillor Brewer.
Just one question. Well, an observation. On the first page, the other income for interest, the budget was 165. In Q1, we have accumulated $112,000 in interest in Q1 of the year. That's unreal. Are you sandbagging, Brad? Because we've got 50,000 to go in the final 3 quarters. Seems like a bit of a no-brainer. When you've also got 9 million or whatever that number is there in term deposits, so it's nearly 4%.
Close to law. The budget is 434, and so far we've only received 90. 1 quarter of 434.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, where does the other income come from?
And sometimes what happens is that there might be a couple of $1 million that's held over, and so some of it would mean we didn't
be realised in the next quarter.
Yeah.
Where does the other income come from? Is that things like the what is it called? main roads, or whatever it's called there, what's it called, Transport for New South Wales, and heavy checking and that sort of stuff? Heavy vehicle?
No,
That'd be,
it's an accumulation of like small fries, things that we get that outside of like a fee or a charge of council. So it might be $1,000 here and there for, you know, sale of bins or stuff like that. There might be some minor sort of donation or small fries grants and things like that that are wrapped up in there. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. So that's basically low level things that have accumulated that aren't, strictly speaking, an operational grant, capital grants, fee or charge, or rates and annual charges. That's interest and so forth. So I can answer exactly what forms
No,
balances.
that's good enough.
It's the smaller end of things, if that's.
Very pleased about 627 the year before. I actually didn't think we were going to get that good. 24, 25.
Interest.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
but back to what I said before, financial literacy from the community voted council is important. We've seen other councils, the topical one at the moment is a large regional council closer to the mountains that got to the stage of virtually bankruptcy without their voted councils being aware. So it is important that we understand where we're at, and as we spoke earlier before, cash flow is king, and it is important that we all understand this. And this is a fair bit to take on in one go, but I digest it, and if anybody's got any, if you think we need to get together and go through it in finer detail, I will bring us together to do that.
Through you, Mr. I'd certainly encourage council to do that. And if there are questions or concerns, we can certainly, given the time frame and whatnot, I'm conscious of the fact that we're not had a chance to go over it. You want to have a look at it again in the next meeting for December. Happy with that as well. The only other thing I wanted to mention, sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor, is that in this format, from other councils, there's consistent question, and I can be completely frank, when I sought clarification myself and had a few questions and concerns and went to contact the OLG, I got a response that literally they told me they had text that they had to offer over the phone, and they read me out a sentence that said, put everything in an email and we'll get back to you, more or less. So I haven't heard, but when I've been reading all of the networking, communique and otherwise, it pretty much comes down to confusion, or I guess some lack of insight, I suppose. In strict terms, what you should see is that this moves away from the whole cash-based budget, that you balance your income with your expense and just call it income, even though, say, you get $1 million of a grant in advance, you can't recognise the income twice. But typically, it doesn't sort of tie in with their intention in this strict sort of frame. That would be an adjustment from externally restricted funds being the unspent grant, which zeroes out with the expense in that capital view. Makes it very confusing for a lot of people. A lot of councils have asked questions around that, because essentially if you were to include that in your operating statement, what on that basis, it can sort of double dip and get things mixed up. And then there's internal movements and other things that it just doesn't capture. Specific to wages for context, that's one area where it's not exactly tied back to a general ledger or 1,000 of them. that is, in terms of actual, something that we can't accurately record because an amount of our wages go out on capital programs and jobs and just form part of the project. So we recognise all that as capital expenditure, but we budget for that as a full total cost of wages. So there's sort of little finer details like that that probably need to be involved if the OLG are wanting it to be an exact reflection of council's activity, so to speak. So
Mr Mayor, luckily for other councils, they had to their November council meeting. We don't have a council meeting. We have to do this one to the October. And so that's why it's rushed. That's why it's late. That's why a little bit up in the air. And these ones who are putting it to the November council meetings are asking OLG for lots and lots of questions too. And sadly, it seems not getting very much help.
in the middle, everybody's pushing into the last minute to have their financial statements completed in fast order. It's big amount of work. So I'm reasonably confident that it's fairly accurate and it'll be consistent moving forward. Put a fair bit of time and whatnot into it. So
I'll finally for any other questions. And if not, we appreciate the amount of work that's gone into it, Director, as well as what's going on with our annual report, which will be out shortly. I'll put that formally. All those in favour? Thank you, Councillor. We'll now move to reports of engineering services. Item 1, works progress report roads. Looking for a mover and a second, please. Picking on Councillor McCoskey again and Councillor Wass. Thank you. Councillor McCoskey.
I just move the recommendation.
Any questions, comments, or Director Sylvester, bring anything to our notice?
No, it's 25.
Everything, no questions. I'll just lead into this. I've, in my role, I get comments and run up quite a bit, usually about something that's not standard or stuff that I have fielded quite a number of phone calls in the last month, the work that the roads crews have done. And the what we as an organisation and engineering services and the crews on the ground have done in the last 12 months. So I publicly congratulate them for that, because while some phone calls you get late at night are annoying, those that are complimenting and not quite so annoying. Councillor McCoskey, you got
Through the chair. Earlier in the business paper, there was an item with respect to $220,000 for the Tip Road. It suggested it was going to be done August, September, finished in October. We're now nigh on the end of October. How are we going with respect to that?
It's out there now. They're constructing it now.
They're there now, are they?
I'm sorry, I missed one because it was always October.
Yeah, no, I just read it here. Neil's Earth movement. I haven't been to Tip for a week or whatever, but they're there. They're now, are they?
the safety signs are up on Monday, Councillor. Councillor Watt?
Just last weekend there were rollers there, nothing done. As of yesterday, the road has been top dressed and is ready for compaction and incorporation. There's a lot been done in the week.
Yeah, no, they're done. That particular contractor, when they go hard. Any other comments? If not, I'll formally put that those in favour of the works progress report roads received, noted. All those in favour? Thank you, councillors. Item 2, works progress report town services. Councillor Derrick, second to Councillor Kelly. Councillor Derrick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm happy to move the recommendation, but just one general inquiry that I'm not anticipating be answered on the spot perhaps, but just with respect to page 26 and the inspection of irrigation systems, which is ongoing. I guess just looking for maybe some reassurance that all irrigation systems are operating well. Some members of the public have noted that the smaller oval and some of the areas surrounding Victoria Park are not looking so great, perhaps. So I guess, as I said, looking for a bit of reassurance that all irrigation systems are operating. Leading into the warmer months, we've had a couple of really hot days already. I'm not by any means an expert or even know that much about irrigation, but I am very aware of how much extra water our own lawn at home has needed recently, and obviously a lot of maintenance has been required to get ready for those summer months. So that's Thank you.
Thank you, councillor. I have, in my discussions with staff, and Sylvester and Raymond, have emphasised that with sprinkler irrigation, you can't catch up. You need to be in front of the game. And when everybody's aware of the problem, there's no point having 3 days like yesterday and then trying to catch up. I think staff are aware of it. So please.
For you, Mr Mayor, at our last committee meeting, it's made note that we would suggest that they look at the irrigation plumbing over at Victoria Oval in regards to the smaller oval. I can report to you as yesterday, there's probably close to a third of that oval that is now back to dirt and dead. So if it's a plumbing issue, we should fix it. If it's a staffing issue, we should fix it. If it's a pumping issue, we should fix it. But it's the last 2 committee meetings we've brought it up, and we had this issue last year. Unfortunately, it's right on the main road, the people going into the hospital, and it just stands out. To get that grassed area back, once it gets back to dirt, it's very hard. You can put as much water on it as you like. You're not going to solve the problem. I just believe there's a plumbing issue there that needs to be looked at.
Thank you, councillor. Staff will take that on notice and see if we can do something. Councillor Houston.
Just a small thing, please. Have the new chairs turned up?
Had it on yesterday.
Thanks.
It's done at the
This is the GBS
Faulkner Lounge. They were stacked yesterday. We inspected them yesterday. Just an aside of that, the Murray Darling people we took for an inspection, and one particular guy that's with us is involved with the racing industry as well. Yeah, they were very impressed with them.
Involved with REN reviews.
Yeah. Councillor Brewer.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Page 17 of item 2, the CCTV and smoke testing. Plum Tracks have completed their works. Was the, I don't know how to say it, VAPAR, was that organisation already within the budget and planned to be used for that? Because my initial understanding was that we would do the testing, get a report, and then move on from there. But it looks like there's now an interim activity, which is a third party.
That's correct. We made the decision that the reporting and data is just too much, and we're actually, that's correct. And a firm that's helping us analyse so we know exactly what we have to do.
And what effect will that have on the budget? Are we
Within the budget.
Okay, thank you.
See, that's expended, committed.
Oh, so it's already committed. Okay. Good.
Comment?
No, it's an agency. last meeting.
Right. If not, if no more comments, I'm going to close that and call for vote for that, please. All those in favour? Thank you so much. Item 3 is work progress plan. Looking for a mover in a second to get this underway. Please. Councillor Wass, Councillor Derrick. Thank you, Councillor Wass.
Move for discussion.
Any questions, general manager, comment besides our shiny thing that arrived the other day? No? Any questions or queries? Plant committee people? Not? I'll put that, all those in favour? Thank you. Now moving on to item 1 of the reports of the manager, health and development services, development application approvals. A mover and seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor Brewer, Councillor Cleesby, Councillor Brewer.
Moving the recommendation. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
There doesn't need to be any comment. Is there any questions? The rest of you haven't got anything that you want to bring up? I'll firmly put that. All those in favour? Thank you. Item 2, works progress, health and development services. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Wass, Councillor Kelly this time. Councillor Wass.
Move as recommended.
Questions? Staff comment, Councillor Houston, sorry.
Yes. Mr Mayor, on the bottom of page 3, I think I've asked this question before, but why are these things not highlighted in grey when they've already happened?
Through you, Mr Mayor, it's because that the funds haven't been inputted, so them organisations haven't produced their receipts as proof that they've spent the money, and also the data request that's involved as part of that conditions. Yeah.
Sorry, I have asked that before and couldn't remember the response.
Thank you.
Any other comments from anyone? General manager, you happy? Oh, sorry, Councillor, nearly lost you. Councillor McCoskey.
Never lose me. Through the chair, through the chair, where are we up to with the dog pound? Where's it at the moment, given there's a row of gravel been sitting on the road down there for a month or better? And there still appears to be work to be done around the building itself. So where are we at with it?
Mr Mayor, the council staff get way ahead of the contractors and got the gravel there. And it's part of the projects that are happening around Warren. Very, very soon that work will happen in conjunction with
That
Kip
contract
Road, Wombiana Road, Shore Road 91.
in the building. Well, the eaves look like they're not.
Practically complete. It's working. Couple of very pretty dogs in it. Photograph.
So by the December meeting, we might see it finished.
Yeah, it's like everything, councillor. Where do you go first?
Oh, I appreciate that.
You know, it's. I appreciate your comment that, you know, we need to finish project. There's nothing worse than half finished project. And I'm sure general manager and relevant staff are aware of our thinking.
Just some of the comments that get thrown at me with respect to it, just, you know, from where we're at to potential finish date. Yeah, so anyway.
Yeah, it is. Finish something and move on and not leave things half finished, you know. There's some of the, shall we say, not so attractive phone calls I get later on. Any other questions? Other than that, I'll formally put that item 2. All those in favour? Receive a no. Thank you. Item 3, LEP plan review. Mover and seconded, please. Councillor Houston, Councillor Cleesby. Pardon me, Councillor Houston.
I move that the information be received and noted.
And
That's what you moved.
up there. So, General Manager, would you just like to find? Visual.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yep, so, we're currently undertaking a local environmental plan review. We're nearing the completion stages now. So we've consulted, with the necessary government organisations and received their feedback, so that's been taken on board. Also received back, feedback from, New South Wales National Parks and Wildlife in relation to some mapping, concerns that they had. So yeah, now we're, one step away from forwarding it off to Parliamentary Council for endorsement. So this is just the process, the feedback we've received and how we've addressed their feedback in the review. Happy to take any questions.
The mapping, told us to do down near the Ramsar area. Which I think was a bit more confusing than actuality.
Yes.
And misunderstanding by planning.
We'll need a division on this matter also.
So, formally, guys, I'm going to, a motion as moved by Councillor Houston and the division to be inserted. So I need hands on this one, please. So all those in favour? All those against, formally unanimous, gentlemen. Right, we're moving on. Item 4, fire upgrade, Clubhouse Hotel fire upgrade, just remove a second for discussion on this one, please. Councillor Surdity, Councillor Kelly, Councillor Surdity. Director, can you just formally give us an insight onto that and council, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It came to my attention that the Clubhouse Hotel was non-compliant in relation to their fire services and they're currently offering accommodation. I've been trying to work with them to achieve some form of compliance. Several attempts failed, therefore I requested support from Fire and Rescue New South Wales, which then resulted in a recommendation from the Commissioner, which then has been enforced through a notice of intent to serve an order on the premise to upgrade their fire services. So they have engaged a contractor and they have been doing some improvements yesterday and today. Happy to take any questions.
Councillor Surdity.
Just one clarification. While all these checks and balances are happening, are they still renting? Are they still using the accommodation?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, as far as I'm aware, yes, they are still offering accommodation.
That all meets with the requirements of. Thank you.
Councillor McCloskey.
Through the chair, just note in the report at the end of a paragraph, like 2/3 of the way down the page, failure to comply with the order will result in a penalty if written notice being issued. Can they be shut down as well, ultimately?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, they can.
Any other questions? I'll only put that, all those in favour. Thank you. There's no motions, questions with it, notice. There's no matters of urgency that I'm aware of. You have some confidential matters. So they're on our agenda and at this stage of entertain a motion that we,
Okay. Move, it resolved to move in those two.
I entertain the motion that we move in committee of the whole. Councillor Wass, Councillor Derrick, all those in favour? Thank you.
Press and public excluded.
Press and public are now excluded.
Same thing.
So you're happy, councillors, the same mover and seconder for that, please? All those in favour? Thank you.
11 no.
Committee of whole, please.
Committee of the whole closed council in regard to item 1, evaluation of submissions tender, at waste tender for collection and recycling scrap metal F4459. It was recommendation that the information received and noted, and 2, Access Recycling is endorsed as the preferred supplier to undertake the regional tender for collection and recycling of scrap metal 4459 for participating net councils. And that was moved by Councillor Wass and Kelly. Probably put that again.
You're happy, moving and second for that?
I've done it. Mr. Mayor, in regard to item 2, which is the Deacon Drive Dwellings District Court matters. Committee of the whole closed council recommended that the information be received and noted.
So, at one at a time, Jody?
Ali and Derek.
Yeah. Confident, you're happy, Councillor Kelly, Councillor Derrick? I'll move, put those both motions together, General Manager, or one at a time? All done. Everybody happy? In that, Councillor, everything,
No,
all good?
no.
That's about it. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This took a bit longer than what I thought, and I apologise, Councillor Brewer, for the late start. But, communication around, while I'm around here, communication's fun. We just need to keep that aware. But thank you very much, councillors and staff. Thank you.